Ma'am, I have started with the recording.
Okay, so maybe we can just wait for 2 minutes and then start. Five.
Yes. Yes, sure. Yeah. Fine.
So, good evening, everyone. We are now again back on our Thursday. Today is our last episode of PICA Thesis Forum Season 2. And today we are having three students from our PICA alumni Priyanka Tiwari, Anusha Bhube, and Tanisha Sani. Priyanka will be talking about her experience designing Interpretation Center at Alibag. Anusha will be talking about her experience doing. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Sorry. So Anusha will be talking about her experience designing Progressive Student Support Center, whereas Tanisha will be showing her project, which titles as Garden of Resurgence. Her site was in Arunachal Pradesh. It's basically a revival of identity and upliftment by means of rural development programs and ecotourism. Today's session will be moderated by Dolly Gada and Sakshi Doshi. So I think you can take ahead, Dolly and Sakshi. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good evening to everyone present here. The first presenter of the day is Anusha Bhube. She graduated in the month of October 2020. Her thesis was selected to represent the college for COA National Awards for Excellence in Architectural Thesis 2020. Her topic aims at uplifting the dropout students with the help of architectural solutions, design for alternative learning. I would request now Anusha to present her screen. Over to you, Anusha.
Yeah. Thank you, Dolly, for the generous introduction. And I would like to thank PICA for inviting me and giving this opportunity to present my thesis on this platform. I shall share my screen. Is the screen visible?
Yes, it is. Yes.
I hope it is audible.
Yes.
Progressive Student Support Center. Education is the basic requirement for human development and growth. In recent years, it is observed that the number of students giving up on their education has increased significantly owing to various physical, social, and psychological barriers.
I chose to work with this particular user group as I strongly believe with the appropriate combination of program and design intervention through which the students can not only gain education but grow to sensitive, responsible, and independent adults who will in turn contribute to the development of the society. This project is an attempt to aspire, nurture, and empower the dropout students. In order to achieve this, they need to be provided with a 24/7 positive environment. The idea is to impart education not only in theory but by actual physical exploration. The project caters to various age groups, which will aid to develop a sense of responsibility amongst the elder students. It inculcates the nature of sensitivity and preservation values, which can be done by the practice of sustainable living. Maitrakul is the organization that this project is catering to. The organization is currently located in Babgaon village, which will later move to the proposed site in the Babsai village. The site location was extremely important in order to actually make a direct contribution to the betterment of the community and also in order to inculcate sensitivity towards the nature. The site is located in the medium-sized village Babsai near Kalyan. Although closer to nature and smaller communities, one still has access to Mumbai suburbs. The site is surrounded with large open space and is closer to the nature. Being centrally located from the nearest three settlements makes it much easier for the user to interact and be open to the local community. The choice of the case studies was integral to shape the program. Ilyak Narkal School's case study helped understand the needs of the various age groups and sustainable features. The Karigal Shala catered to the dropout students but dealt with their rehabilitation with standard of learning. Shikshantar and Vigyan Ashram contributed to understanding the user, workshop spaces, agricultural inclusions, and the incorporation of recycling in sustainable living. While SecMore deals with the student rehabilitation from more hands-on exploratory learning approach. The inclusion of various types of institutions helped in designing an appropriate brief to cover all user needs. Kalyan having a history in Vada architecture, being the traditional residential form, the planning was done on the basis of Vada concept, hence the grid planning. The central large open space between the private and public space comprised of a green space, outdoor sitting or gathering space. Each space was provided with a semi-open space. The geometry allows for a proper distribution of public, private and interactive spaces. A concept of tree house was introduced as the students come from a disturbed background and this helps them relive their childhood. This space can be used for counseling units or for the group study purpose. Form and design development. The linear contoured site called for a straight geometry with nodes formed for interaction. The first diagram is the linear massing aligning with the site. In the second plan, breaking that first into half to create the main path of the circulation, then breaking them into smaller squares for bifurcating the programs in the plan 3. In plan 4, to increase the nodes and junctions, the squares are rotated to spill out to the main circulation and creating smaller private zones in the sites. This generates a much deeper analysis of public to private functions as shown in the Plan 5. The site is located in rural context without a lot of dwellings around it. Agricultural fields are located adjacent to the site. The vehicular movement is restricted to the entrance, beyond which only pedestrian circulation is allowed. The site has 3 entry nodes, 2 for vehicular circulation and 1 a stepped path that also provides for public seating or gathering spaces. Administration block overlooks the seating and keeps an eye on the entry exits of the site. A semi-open pavilion is placed adjacent to the main circulation path, giving an experiential view of the stepped courtyards. Right above the pavilion, an exhibition hall is provided for the public. The courtyard adjacent to it has a stepped pond which can be viewed from the pavilion and the exhibition hall. Beyond the cafeteria, no outsiders are permitted. The residential block overlooks each other, sharing a central space, maximizing interactions amongst the children. The staff residential is provided in close proximity to the student residential wing to keep an eye on the children. The learning spaces start from the middle contours overlooking the two central courtyards. The agricultural block and the dairy are adjacent to each other with a private agricultural field provided for learning. The courtyard with bamboo tree houses overlooks the poultry farms in a main gathering space catering to events such as lectures in the open, performances, etc. Such an informal space changes the dynamic of the learning in Maitrakul, catering to the needs of the children coming from disturbed background. The next set of blocks, carpentry and fabrication, sewing and electrical workshops, produce a lot of noise and disturbance and therefore is provided at the topmost contour away from the learning units such as the library. They overlook a stepped courtyard, increasing interactions amongst the various workshops. Following are the learning units in the play area. This includes a cycle track and multiple grounds for different sports. The topmost end of the site is left untouched for the future development. The roofing of the blocks is designed to make most of the natural light already available on the site. It also helps differentiating and developing the public and private activities on the site. The administration's roof opens up on the outside as a welcoming feature for the outsiders. The pavilion and the exhibition focuses the view of the visitor towards the central courtyards. Various spaces are designed at the landscape nodes in order to promote interaction among the students as well as the community. The dynamic of the roof can be clearly understood in these side sections. The first side section shows the inclined roof of the kitchen, which provides an open public seating as opposed to the enclosed private dining below it. This open seating is the extension of the first courtyard, encouraging interactions. The second section allows the privateness provided by the roof of the library from the public open space next to it. The library extends to a private node that provides a calmer environment to study in. In administration block, you enter to a reception area which overlooks a small courtyard and the pavilion which serves as an inviting waiting area. A small common assembly hall is provided to orient new students into the campus. The exhibition displays the work done by the students in Maitrakul. The residential block has a central courtyard and the form gives it certain privateness from the staff residential, making it much more comfortable, carefree places for the students. A similar stepped courtyard helps in unifying the different contours, creating interactive spaces. There are two residential blocks of 2 stories consisting of 14 dormitories, one sanitation unit, and a staircase block separating the two. The slant columns that are attached to the roof is a feature of this block. The window have a slight protrusion into the passage for an informal seating area. The staff residential features an experiential corridor that connects to the rest of the site. As the staff is demanded to be aware of the whereabouts of the students, circulation becomes a key in the designing of this block. The staff block consists of 6 units, each housing 2 staff members each. As a design element, a twin window system is provided to control the harsh sunlight that might enter through the south facade. This facade is made of a jali made of terracotta tiles that help in temperature control. A bamboo facade system is also used in these blocks to dissipate heat. These bamboo logs are replaceable. Food is a prime necessity for a human being. It directly influences our mood and behavior. A spatial hierarchy is created using the multiple areas of indoor and outdoor spaces that provide a seamless environment where the child learns from others and indulges in a healthy eating habit and etiquettes. Further, the design has elements of play for the children that acts as an anchor to entice them. Food is produced through farming and poultry as raw materials, further providing the jobs to the women in village for kitchen maintenance and cooking. From the main passage, a ramp goes down to the dining area. A foldable table unit is placed in the periphery, which therefore makes the dining room more dynamic for mass buffets and other gathering events. The library block contains reading tables, bookshelves, informal step seating units, and small booths for group study. These spaces have partition walls that do not go up till the roof. The feeling of the seclusion is eliminated and this unifies all the functions of the library. The library opens out to the private garden to encourage outdoor studies. Further are the learning studios, which are designed as a multi-access space where rudimentary education is provided for the dropouts to continue further schooling and gradually build their confidence. The varying sizes of the classrooms space allows the social anxiety to be broken gradually and induce participation. The blend of nature and playscape gives the child a feel of learning in a park, which improves concentration and reduces stress. An open plan is provided for the photography and art workshop with multiple spill-out spaces. A classroom for solar and biogas learning is also provided. The terracotta tiles cast a beautiful shadow in the photography workshop, which helps in the photography. The agricultural block encompasses a poultry farm, classrooms, soil testing lab, a dairy, and a small private agricultural field for learning agricultural practices. A brick jolly wall helps provide privacy to the classrooms, yet allowing natural light to enter the space. The carpentry and fabrication workshop have a workspace area and they spill out to semi-open areas through revolving jolly doors. The workshops are placed together due to the same design requirements, heavy lifting areas, noise reduction, and hands-on learning. Punctures have been provided in the roofing system to allow sufficient natural light to the spaces. An open plan is best suited for such workshops for different modes of teaching. An open space is provided in front of the electrical workshop for a motor workshop when needed. A first aid unit is also provided for safety concerns. The further are the ARD details for the project. Thank you. Progressive Student Support Center.
Thank you, Anusha, for your insightful and well articulated presentation. The second presenter of today is Priyanka Tiwari from the batch 2015. She graduated in October 2020 and is currently working with Ethos. Her thesis topic, Interpretation Center at Alibag, aims at remembering the history and culture of Alibag. I would now request Priyanka to present her screen.
So thank you, Sakshi, first of all, for the generous introduction. And I would like to thank Paika for giving me such a big platform to present my thesis work. And without further delay, I will start with my presentation. My thesis project is Interpretation Center at Alibag. Quick recap of SEM9 pre-design studies. Alibag, previously known as Shribag, has multiple layers of history which date back to 17th century. Not only rich in historical events but also rich in natural heritage, which makes it the most famous tourist attraction in India. The illustration shows how the forts were built in 17th century in their dilapidated condition and an attempt to help the visitors visualize it in the original form. Here I have listed few tangible and intangible aspects of Alibag. Now these articles here indicate the development of Alibag, and this illustration shows that in another 20 to 30 years Alibag might lose its character and become like any other developed city, and my attempt is to preserve the characters of Alibag through my site. These are the few case studies that I had done based on these parameters. An integrated design approach was formulated, starting from site selection, studying from macro level Maharashtra to micro level Alibag. Site was selected based on the DCR Google map and going on site. Site analysis was done. Site context was studied from macro to micro level. Kulaba Fort is just 1 kilometer away from the site, and the site is adjacent to the Alibag beach. Other public amenities are within 1 kilometer distance. Accessibilities to Mumbai and Pune was studied both by water linkages and road linkages. Landscaping on and just around the site were identified and used for the proposal. Around 90% of the vegetation was retained as it is on the site. Local and traditional materials were identified and studied. Passive design strategies for Alibag specifically were studied. Site of the site was established. Because of the site location, site has certain responsibilities towards the tourists, towards the locals, towards the Kulaba Fort, towards the beach, and I had to create a connectivity to these features. Before moving further to design development stage, I established a mood board. Here is the material palette. These are the color swatches extracted from materials, and these are the reference photographs abstracting my ideas and aspiration towards the project. Site analysis stage. On basis of site analysis, the site is divided in public, semi-public and private zone. Before getting to site zoning stage, a word clause was made on my intentions and aspirations regarding the project. A study of volume, light and emotion was done. Types of exhibitions, its style, sizes, etc. was studied. Then the character of Alibag was studied through series of images within the city. Few elements were abstracted to be used in design, namely the narrowing straight, wooden joint rays, watchtower, surprise element, abstracting trees, break spaces, traditional construction, development of spaces around the water bodies. With all these studies in the conscious mind, I moved on to site zoning. In the site zoning, first the proximity chart was prepared between the blocks, namely admin, entrance, exhibition, library, workshop and convention. Second is the space and relationship diagram. Then the proximity and the space and relationship diagram were overlapped. To this, visual links were established and I came up with one bubble diagram. This bubble diagram then was experimented, analyzed and studied through different zoning options, out of which zoning 2 is the most similar to the proximity chart established previously. This zoning was further studied through 3D blocking. So this is the first option in which I have just extruded the zoning on basis of area and volume and studied on basis of climatic aspects. The second attempt was by combining all the blocks and studying them as one single structure. This third option was a form-based approach to the entire concept. All these options did not actually reflect the pre-design study which I already had, and hence the final attempt was made by overlapping the understanding of city through images, which includes connecting the blocks through narrowing street, adding surprise elements in between, then creating visual links between the blocks. And this option was further developed as my site plan. Here are a few points about the project, like appropriate architecture design used, renewable energy resources used, how water and earth management is done, and use of appropriate building technologies. Talking about the site plan, this is the main Alibag Beach Road, the main entrance. Towards the left is the parking, towards the right is the installation space. And these are the blocks, namely the Interpretation Center block, library, admin, restaurant, and workshop block. Now for a public structure, it is very important to design the outer area as well, because the outside is where the public interacts with the structure first. The footpath area in front is designed in such a way that it could incorporate small local stalls during the evening. Then the entire area, which is common for the center and Alibag Beach, could be developed as public plaza. The boundaries of the site are kept porous. Also, a proposal for floating deck could be made for conducting ferries to Colaba Fort. Understanding the user movement was very important to place the interaction area. There are basically three types of users: the tourist, locals, and the staff people. All the possible user movement were mapped, studied, and analyzed to get a location where the interaction space could be placed. Through this study, this location was selected and developed as local and traditional interactive space, that is the Mango Garden. Talking about the site is 22.5 thousand square meters, out of which 25 is complete green cover, only 15% is road coverage, and 35% is built. Details of the plan will be talked about later in the presentation, but the relationship between the built and unbuilt can be seen. The diverts and composting pit are placed at this corner because this area is not used by visitors. Rooms like generator rooms and other services rooms are provided at this corner of the site. Few details like incorporating tender coconut shells in the walls to give shelter to the birds and using this type of detail for paving will ensure A. Cost effectiveness, since using debris, and B. Help replenish groundwater. Here are some views. This view is from the plaza outside to the entrance area of the site. This is the entrance and ticketing area lobby with canopy, the conference area, Mango Garden area. This is a small plaza between workshop and interpretation center. This view shows the internal courtyard inside the lecture room. These are few drawings of site development, site section, and site elevations. Elevation A is from the beach side. Elevation B is from main Alibag Road side. Section AA cuts through workshop block. Section BB cuts through interpretation center block. And section CC cuts through the ticketing area block. These are drawings of interpretation center block. The interpretation center block is divided into 5 segments, namely History Interpretation Center, Sculpture Display and Research Section, 3D Hologram Projection Theatre, Audiovisual Room, and Watchtower with Augmented Reality Screen. The History Interpretation Center has 6 parts divided on basis of background research study done in semester 9. The sculpture display area has works of late Mr. Kamakars displayed and a lecture room attached for students to research upon his work. This is a little sketch showing my concept regarding the space. The white marble flooring with rough basalt stone pedestal and sculptures placed on it. The central area would be double height connecting 2 floors visually. For making history interesting, spaces like 3D hologram theaters and audiovisual rooms are also provided. This watchtower is abstraction of lighthouse which connects site to the Colaba fort through augmented reality screens. Here are detailed drawings of interpretation center block. Section DD cuts through lecture room, sculpture display and audiovisual room. Section EE cuts through sculpture display, 3D hologram theater and audiovisual room. Section FF cuts through the beach to the installation spaces, amphitheater and history interpretation section. Section GG cuts through another section of history interpretation. Section HH cuts through the passage in the history section, which has skylights. The workshop block majorly has shop, exhibition, pottery and workshop, cooking workshop with a bio-waste collection room, joinery or carpentry workshop, staff room, and toilet block. There are few concepts regarding the space. Here this area has flexible use, can be used as break spaces or as a lecture space for one or all the workshop blocks. People using the workshop area on regular basis can access the workshop block from this side and the tourists can access the workshop block from this side. Few other break spaces like the lily pond and the courtyard with seatings around the trees are also designed in between the workshops. Here section JJ cuts through machine or carpentry workshop, courtyard and staff room area. Section KK cuts through exhibition, lily pond, cookery workshop, staff room and toilet. These are floor plans of restaurant block. Section LL and MM cut through the internal courtyard showing the cross ventilation and relationship between user and space. The library block is G+1 structure. These are the floor plans. Section PP and QQ show the user, activity and space relationship along with passive design strategy. Elevation U shows how openings are designed in the space. These are plans of admin block area consisting of locker room, ticketing, office and conference area. This is an open to sky space provided for temporary exhibitions and installations. It has a storeroom attached wherein all the panels can be stored and used as and when required. This illustration shows the flexibility of space according to the use. Elevation R is from the beach side. Section SS cuts through the office area showing the cross ventilation and volume of spaces and activities related. Section TT cuts through locker room, entrance area lobby and temporary installation area. The central lobby pergola is based on the concept of canopy provided by different native plants of Alibag. The gap between the pergola and the roof in the southwest side is provided with tinted glass which will illuminate the space during the low rays of evening golden hour. To sum up my project with few key features, use of passive design strategy according to the macro and microclimate study by providing internal courtyards, ensuring maximum cross ventilation, fixed orientation according to the analysis, designing shading devices, chadjas, using lower U value material for construction. Interactive design. Advanced technologies like augmented reality, audiovisual installation, video wall, interactive display and 3D hologram are used to make the design more interactive. Attempt for barrier-free or universal design. The area marked in red in the plan are slopes which are provided in all common areas for ease of accessibility for physically challenged people. Color contrast are used in pathways. Also, provision of parking for physically challenged people is provided. Promoting more flexible design. This is the entrance plaza area illustrations during 3 situations. Scene 1 with no installation, Scene 2 with only few installations and Scene 3 when the whole space is used for installations. Second area is the plaza between workshop and interpretation center area. Scene 1 illustrates when the space is used as break space and Scene 2 when the space has displays exhibited. Promote community design. Many community gathering spaces are provided like the conference, mango garden, amphitheater and plaza areas. An attempt to make sustainable design, use of local materials, energy efficient design, use of solar panels, 25% complete green cover, rainwater harvesting and STP. This final section is about ARD. The first is electrical layout. The diagram here shows how electricity is distributed from power station to site and site to the outlet. This is a brief calculation of electricity consumption of the site. Then is the water supply and firefighting layout. Here is the calculation of water requirement, tank sizes, etc. This is a schematic section of water layout. Stormwater and rainwater harvesting layout. This is the calculation of rainwater harvesting tank capacity according to the water requirement of landscaping during the summer season. This is a schematic section of rainwater harvesting tank. Drainage layout. I have used T-word system, schematic working of which is explained here. This is the calculation of tank sizes for the same, and these are the varieties of plants to be used for purifying the water. After purification of water, it is allowed to fill the lily pond, and overflow of which is stored and is used for landscaping and flushing purposes. Around 62% of the total water requirement of the site is generated by T-words. Solar power layout. I have used clay tiles embedded with solar cells on the sites which receive the most sunlight. This is a little calculation of amount of electricity generated by them. The generated electricity will then be supplied to the grid and not be stored in batteries. On a sunny day when the solar panels work with full efficiency, around 160% of the daily electricity consumption could be generated. Strip section VB is from history interpretation area. It talks about laterite stone jali detail, paving gutter detail and ridge detail. Section WW is from ticketing area. Details of timber lure joinery is explained here. This section explains the active and passive design strategies. Strip section XX is from locker room. Details of jack arch roof and composite wood is explained here. Section YY is from staff room in the workshop area. Gutter detail and wooden stick jali detail are shown here. This strip section ZZ is from exhibition area of workshop block. Flooring detail and bamboo slab detail is explained here. Pathways are provided with bamboo mesh, providing semi-shading during the summers, and in rainy season this could be covered with palm roof. The columns are abstracted from the trees. This is the detail of single brick twisted pillar or non-load bearing element of staff lobby area, and this is the toilet ventilator detail with Anwood structure frame joined with through dovetail joinery and ecoboard and bamboo cross sections used. Here is the bamboo food stall details, the details of column bracing and the base of the column. This is schematic structural system illustration which shows us the use of Mangalore tiles, composite wood, granite slab, Kota flooring, basalt stone foundation, solar tiles, laterite and basalt stone wall, sill detail and basalt plinth details in the structures. Lastly, I would like to share a conceptual walkthrough which will make my thoughts and ideas more clear.
Thank you, Priyanka, for your wonderful presentation. The last presenter for the season is Tanisha Sani from the batch of 2015. She graduated in the month of October 2020 and looks forward to pursuing a career in conservation, community, and sustainable building design. Her thesis work was selected among a few others to represent PICA in COA Awards for Excellence in Architecture Thesis 2020. Her thesis topic, Garden for Resurgence, looked towards the revival of identity of the people of Arunachal, also aims at upliftment by the means of rural development and ecotourism. She had received an opportunity to present her thesis work to the Forest Department, Ecological Tourist Department, and the members of Zilla Parishad of Sijosa, Arunachal Pradesh, and since have been working together to bring her thesis project to reality. Over to you, Tanisha.
Thank you, Dolly, for the introduction, and thanks, Paika, for coming up with such a huge platform for everyone. And thanks for allowing me to present my thesis over here. Without further ado, I'll start with my presentation. Good morning, Good morning, everyone. My name is Tanisha Sani, and the topic for my thesis project is Garden of Resurgence at Pake Sejosa in Arunachal Pradesh. The topic revolves around the revival of identity by means of rural development programs and ecotourism. The project being placed in Arunachal has an integral part to play in Indian history, but most of it remains unaware. Architecture helps to reveal who matters in the complex and plural society. It is a setting through which we express ideas like democracy or freedom or other kinds of national values, and this colors the way the citizen sees and perceives the government. One would be surprised to know that the ongoing conflict in Arunachal has roots back from the ancient monarchical era. The timeline starts from 1st century. Traces were also found in the medieval monarchical era. Coming to the timeline of post-independence, years marking the McMahon Line and Northeast Frontier Tract activities formed the major points of concern. Arunachal Pradesh, area under constant threat of anti-national ideas, paradise of conflict. The two conflicts are the Indochina conflict and the Bodoland conflict. Did you know in 1962 people fought the Chinese soldiers with vessels in their house just because they wanted to be part of India? The whole state of Arunachal Pradesh is incredibly picturesque and people and talking about the geographical aspect of the state obviously lies in the valley, which is why the weather is extremely pleasant. But the concerns raised have the population comprises of the Nishi tribe, primarily as the hunting tribe. Their features include their evolution, occupation and economy, attire, language, rituals, and philosophy and beliefs. The prevalent skills of the tribe include weaving, cane and bamboo work, carpet making, woodwork, ornament making, and other skills. Festivals celebrated as a state are the Page Paga festival and Neokom. From the transition of being an hunting tribe to the conservers of wildlife, the major daily activities include jhum cultivation, paddy field cultivation, organic farming, construction of one's house, garden farming, and socializing. This place has an abundance of diverse flora and fauna. The Pake Sejosa Administrative Circle is spread 14 kilometers in length and has the Pake Tiger Reserve adjacent to it. Along with the forest reserve has accommodation, viewing facilities and nature interpretation center. A variety of floating users traced includes tourists, artists, students, photographers, researchers and activists. The architectural style and language is seen to be changing where it can be grouped in two types, the traditional house and the modified modern house. These variations has led to change of traditional materials to modified materials. leading to the change in architectural elements. The major issues faced by the people here are flooding, hunting, disoriented youth, earthquake prone area, available land for use, and with the help of this database, the conclusion derives were based on the ideas of social enhancement, economic empowerment, and cultural viability. The case study of Hemalkasa helped to understand how ground-up interventions could be done for tribal area, whereas the study of Govardhan Eco-Village helped to formulate a guideline for area program and understand user involvement. The Yusuf Maruli Center how available resources can be incorporated to enhance the value of the project. The Sakar village case study helped in understanding the incorporation of biodiversity for the complete growth of the project, leading to the formation of case study matrix. Similarly, a program matrix was a way to help shortlist the programs that would work in a region like this. The programs are judged based on certain parameters like the role of program, active users, age group, sphere of influence, scale of built form, funding, and potentials and problems. A set of programs that would be accepted by the state as well as cater to the needs of the people and revive the identity without any conflict had to be considered. In a place of conflict, the main things compromised are the economic and education sectors and a place to raise their ideas and thoughts. So the main program would be the memorial structure that would cater to revival of identity and conservation programs for preserving culture and tradition. Second would be the learning and economy generating programs, that is the vocational training center and accommodation programs to help run the entire project without economic barrier. Third would be the sustainable programs to make the project self-sufficient and give the concept of sustainability out loud. Last would be the subordinate programs that would complement the user activities. The map here helps to understand the percentile aspects like the building use, education map, construction typology and migration flow, which gives a strong justification to consider the government a demarcated site for all these programs. The site is located along the Pakui River where river bunding is taking place. The site is demarcated 25 meter away from the bund wall for riverfront development. On the other side is the state highway with the buffer area of Basti settlement. The primary wind flow is southwestern while the secondary wind from the river side is from west to east. An internal road of 12 meter is taken to divide the site. Setback at riverside is 12 meter while for the remaining edges are 9 meter. The natural water flow through the site is marked at 3 points. The major climatic issues are the temperature range from 12 to 35 degree, earthquake prone area and flooding experience. The overall strategies would be welcoming air and ventilation, open, semi-open and closed spaces, main view within the site and creating imagery. For the site it would be low density and low rise typology, color theme landscaping, interaction with water body, interaction and hall points as positive distraction and easy wayfinding. For individual structures it would be access to nature, plantation along blocks, privacy and interaction spaces, viewpoints and community involvement and development. Here the proximity zoning and movement chart is prepared to jot down the proximity of programs for 3 user type. That is, for the tourists it starts from entrance foyer all the way to 11 different programs ending at the nursery, while for the locals it will start from the reception market all the way through the 7 programs ending at the nursery. For the user it would start from the entrance foyer all the way to the 9 programs ending at the conservation walk. The ideal building orientation is with respect to the earthquake prone area strategies and the aspects considered while designing are related to passive cooling and heating structures. The sun movement and wind flow with respect to vent are considered. North and east facade with circulation and hall spaces and south and west facade with accessible courtyard and vegetation buffer to help provide diffuse sunlight are kept in mind. To give a language and environment internal-external ratio, Structure is planned with golden ratio with respect to open, semi-open and closed spaces. A complete green structure typology is considered for the project where it focuses on conserving natural resource, flora-fauna consideration, use of natural and local material, is energy efficient, has healthier spaces and waste management. Amenities jotted in pairs are checked for contribution of noise and accessibility of flora and fauna around its premises. As the indigenous architectural styles are getting decipient due to the constant fear of urbanization and lifestyle, it is important a language which could be followed and implemented on various sites. As there has been very few intervention on the landscaping, it is easy to set the language from this point to overall be the layer. The contoured site is of a graduate slope of 1.2 meters at every 15 meter. The division of site is of the grid formed used on the Fibonacci series. The axis is formed from the center of the Fibonacci series. The primary functions at junctions and the secondary functions at intersections. The formed golden ratio pattern over the site. After the floods, the settlement, which was primarily the riverside cluster settlement, had started to move away from the water body. Adding a water body as an important feature would promote the idea of tackling the issue and finding solution. The primary structures are positioned along the junctions while the secondary structures are positioned along the intersections. This is the demarcation of building with access. The plaza spaces in the final layout allow to have different size of open spaces surrounding in the structures, hence forming the final site. As this project requires a strong architectural language, it becomes important to have an overall concept to design the structures. Through image mapping, the following points are jotted which gives the final concept of the sun, golden ratio and the hornbill. The agroclimatic zone is pre-humid to sub-humid, which makes number of diverse native plant species available. Two types of paved block systems are used for vehicular and pedestrian pathway. Native trees are alternately planted to get seasonal themes. Landscape during summer season. This theme of landscape will merge with the surrounding, giving both landscape and the structural elements equal focus. Winter season landscaping. This color theme will outstand the landscape from the surrounding. This focusing will work as the visitor footfall for winters are mainly students and researchers. The first block is the administration and souvenir shop located at north, closest to the main entrance near to the communal cottages. Usable courtyards for morning activities are placed on southeastern facade to provide shade after early hours. Placed during early evenings are placed on the western facade. Administration. The head offices are closest to both entries to the block. These rooms are first naturally lit areas and has larger openings. Subordinate offices are centrally located so that proximity is maintained from all ends. First aid room with minimum footfall is located at the southern facade with thin foldable window openings. The building would have the semantics where locals would readily come, yet have a feature different from the current architectural patterns, which in this case is the roof. The souvenir plaza was imagined in thin frivolous post of bamboo that would create an enclosure. The 6 shops are arranged along the plaza with a separate storage space as required. For this structure, the features are the bamboo arched entries to the shop. The roof profile is kept simple to maintain the balance of new and existing architectural styles throughout the block. The second block is the kiosk and market block, positioned with accessibility closest to the main entrance and service entry. The column space design complements the concept of into the woods and maintains the earthquake design consideration. The northern courtyard is placed to break the rectangle and allow northern lights to the corridor. The main reception area is accessed from both the sides. The smaller kiosks are centrally located with vent roofs to allow adequate wind circulation. The lesser user footfall area are on the south facade and kept shaded with the help of lower and projected roof profile. The three-leveled platform allowed the two levels to act as the vending platform while the middle platform for circulation. The market structure semantics are imagined as covered bamboo canopies that are formed with the help of scissor truss column combination. Being a weekly market, it is kept open so that it could be used for socializing when not functioning as a market. The informal canteen acts as the first halt point to either start the journey of the site or halt for leisure. The canteen and the toilet are adjacent to the parking. The canteen has an informal sitting, whereas the toilet has a waiting area. The canteen has two different service zones, while the toilet has the women and men's WC. The semantics of the structure are spread out with dynamic roofing system. The Maidan will be the first major activity to be centrally located. It will give a distant view to the memorial which will play as the backdrop to the Maidan during festivals. The section explains the different step levels and the conceptual sketches of stands placed during festival and kids socializing at the steps of the Maidan. The layout demarcates the solar panel positions required according to grid-connected solar PV system. The off-grid solar PV system, that is the street lights, are located along the pathway at 12 meters from each other. The traditional houses are placed at parts above the water body to visually connect the relation of water with the state of Arunachal Pradesh. These houses act as the semantics of Arunachal without taking away its indigenous style. The type A houses are derived similarly from the modified type houses where user types could be divided vertically on different levels. Being derivatives of existing form in style and feature, new technologies and techniques are added on construction. The type B houses are similarly derived from the Changar, where room activities are kept fixed with adjustable room sizes with the help of movable or temporary partitions. Here locals could come to stay and even make them homestays and cater to the visitor to promote homestay ideology for the region. All stays would be temporary. The traditional houses has biodigester toilet system as their initial sanitary and decomposition processes of waste was natural. This system would fit the primitive concept but in a more hygienic and sophisticated way which would be easily adapted. The water body helps to change the microclimate around it, which are mostly open spaces, by evaporating cooling. The Bastis being a linear settlement along the river, similarly the water body is demarcated along the main revival programs. It also acts as the major landscaping feature where sitting and interactive spaces are formed accordingly. The layout marks the rainwater harvesting system in two types: roof surface as the catchment area and water body as the catchment area. From here, the structures for revival can be traced. Diagonally flowing water bodies on both sides help create its imagery. The plantation ground beyond the memorial acts as the cemetery's abstracted plantation ground, while the memorial as the cemetery's abstracted structure. This becomes the pavilion type 1, pavilion of past. The semantics were imagined as a massive monumental pyramidal roof with a core in the center that would allow the movement at different levels with arched walkways. Compartments at the inner facade would hold on the remembrances of the deceased, be it human or wildlife. The pyramidal roof can be traced as one of structure construction. The pyramidal roof finds its inspiration from the Central Asian architecture, and this influence also comes because Arunachal shares its boundary with China. Because of this, it plays as an evident feature for the memorial. The memorial which would create dialogue between the locals and visitors, and stories would be shared, acting as a symbol of primitive and modern construction techniques. The vocational training center and dormitories become the part pavilion type 2 and 3, that is present and future. The structures are located at both sides of the central axis and dormitories adjacent to the center. The semantics of both structures are approximately similar so as to act as backdrop for the memorial from all directions, and the core focus remains on the memorial itself. Being one of the largest blocks in the project, it is critical to consider the connectivity with respect to earthquake designing consideration. The block is being divided into smaller squares and are connected with courtyards. The courtyards are placed on the eastern facade as activities like open classroom and workshop curriculums that do not require solar heating are conducted in this block. The block similar and opposite to this has courtyards on the western facade as solar heating and drying is part of their activity. The center at the left are for locals for processing units of ornament making and handmade textile. The workshop area consists of animal husbandry and survival skills with subordinate facilities. The center at the right are for visitors with process units of bamboo handicraft and bamboo furniture. The workshop area consists of bamboo architecture and conservation program workshops, along with subordinate facilities. The blue marked spaces are those which require sunlight before noon, while the orange marked spaces are those which require sunlight even after noon. The sketch shows the conceptual view of the pavilion hall with bundle beam joinery details. Foldable furnitures are used for making space available as per need. Flexible use of space for different activities and capacity, done due to the unpredictable student footfall. The two different types of hall present are the 6 bed sharing halls while the 2 bed sharing rooms. These are the foldable tables and beds used to maximize floor area. The common toilet roofing vent is designed to allow the flow of foul smell out and natural drying of the structure. The jali pattern acts as a semi-porous facade to the front of the toilet. The semantica here changes for the flooring where a concrete slab with 4 banner concrete column is used as a supporting system. The ground floor has WCs for men and women while shower cubicles on the upper level. The different wall typology and joinery and flooring details for G+1 constructions are explained here. The museum plays the role of conservation halls which act as a place to know about the vicinity in depth. The through and through circulation allows free in and out movement to the visitors. The basic planning is again derived from the concept of Chandghar with the natural light penetration through the roof and rain chain features. The conservational halls. The central core acts as a book reading space where the user could come in and pick the book and sit outside in open spaces. The 4 conservational halls include culture and traditional, lifestyle, wildlife and recognition. The mezzanine will act as a viewing gallery and connect the halls at different levels. The semantica of the structure is conceptualized from traditional Chandghar as mass structure from the exterior, while the interior space quality changes with the help of refracted light and scissor truss beam column system. The special feature here are the structure maximizes the use of natural light and ventilation with tree completely surrounded to keep the microclimate cooler and shaded with multiple semi-open spaces at different levels. The quarters acts as a space with positive interaction between the local and visitors. Homestay facility could be distributed vertically for the visitors with ground floor and upper floor for the staff. The schematics of the structure allow fulfilling the open to semi-open to closed ratio, keeping two structures adjacent to each other, creating courtyard effect. The celestial navigator built at the end of the primary central axis will act as the final solution providing area where the locals will get a scientific reasoning and understand the nature and its element, hence eliminating multiple superstitions. The nursery and the SBT tank are the green programs for the site. The nursery consists of memorial plantation and nursery consultation offices with a curio shop. The layout and the details demarcate the SBT system. The capacity of the SBT system is 30 KLD and operates in an 8 hours per day cycle. The conservation plantation walkway will be the concluding amenity where the final talk regarding the entire journey throughout the site would be summationed. The tree trail view explains the different types of level of walkway and the machan as the viewpoint. The section shows the different hall points and levels of the walkway. Last but not the least are the subordinate programs, that is the communal cottages. Orientation of the block is in such a way that two opposite sides have central large courtyards. Corners be the semi-open courts to maintain cross ventilation. The communal cottage blocks are a group of 6 cottages which intend to have maximum communal and socializing spaces. The toilet block positioned near the entrance is to maintain their cultural activities. The open court acts as an interaction space between the two cottages, while the semi-open court as an interaction space with the surrounding, hence maintaining privacy and interactions. The side elevation shows the circular arched openings at the staircase facade and the conceptual view of semi-open court overhangs. Windows in the traditional architecture style were monotonous and simple as the technique of construction was unknown. As planning is derived, the featured elements would be the window for such structures with addition of modern technologies. The window now not only acts as an opening but an ornamental feature without adding any extra load. The layout marks the lightning protection poles and its area of coverage. This became the whole picture of the Garden of Resurgence, where the edge of the structure and the landscape would create interactions when people from various walks of life would come, speak, and relieve their thoughts and emotions just to have a voice. It always was imagined as this place where resurgence would happen. Although an imagination for now, I strongly believe that when turned into reality, it would make a difference to the people's life, because it will not only make them feel like it is their own space, but sharing their anecdotes will give them a sort of empowerment to know that even their voices are to be heard. This simple project tries to make lives of the people in this region better by giving them a permanent platform to come out and talk, share new ideas, and make it their little haven, where these encounters would create the process of resurgence. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanisha, for your elaborate presentation and for giving us valuable insights into your design process. I think we can now proceed with the question and answer session. I encourage all faculty members and students to feel free to unmute themselves or use the chat box to post their questions.
Hi, Sakshi, Kavita here. Can I ask the question now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First of all, Priyanka, Tanisha, and Anusha. Thank you for presenting your work. It was, pleasure to look at variety of work today. I must say that three of you had a different approach towards design. Even the selection of topics were also different from each other. Some of them, they touched the public domain. So overall, it was a good experience to see all three projects today. I have a question, which is a common question to all three of you. You can choose to, you can decide if you want to, all three of you would like to answer, or maybe one or two can address the question. The thing is, design and then ARD. These two things are very important when it comes to thesis, and it is seen that everyone had a different approach towards developing a concept and taking that concept into design and taking it ahead to ARD. So at what stage you try to merge ARD and design in your particular project? I'm sure that everyone would have a different approach for this marriage also. So I would like to hear from all three of you. It would be interesting to listen to your process of merging or designing ARD also along with your or developing along with your concept. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
So,
Priyanka, you go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I was just about to say that. Please, Anusha, start.
Okay, as a concept, at the zoning level, as I had a contoured site, so I had to think of the services as well while developing the zoning process. So I started with matlab, both hand in hand. it was not like first the design was done and then the services were incorporated. It was a combination of both.
Okay. And what about the
For me,
construction details also? Maybe Tanisha and Anusha and Priyanka, you also can add to this. It's not only about the services, the construction details which we finally take into consideration while putting up the final plans and details. So when did they also came into the picture?
Ma'am, mostly when we imagine the spaces while in the sections. So at that moment only we consider the construction techniques as well. Like in my case, there was a lot of play of roofs. So the construction details were then and then discussed with the faculty as well as and then worked out eventually.
Okay. Yes, Tanisha.
yes. So for me, initially when I was speaking with the locals, they said that what will you make for us? Jhopdi to banta hai bamboo se. So that was the main idea where I was trying to, break what bamboo could with the environment and help them design their own spaces without making them feel that it is a very different space and they would be intimidated to come in. So that's how I started designing, where I tried to balance what new techniques I could add on without adding any extra load, because being a earthquake prone zone, I had to make the structures very light. So any ornamentations which is seen in their local day-to-day lives with animal stock or any skeletons as for them, so I try to incorporate those ornamentations in designing itself. Like you can see in the windows or the roofing system, those were different, while the typical ideas of planning were kept as it is. So more typical square shaped plans were taken into consideration, but a dynamic roof was there. And then coming to services, I got a more clearer picture when I had done the case study of Govardhan Eco Village, because their main motive was to make the project more sustainable and ecological and a green project with zero waste. So when I spoke to them, they tried to explain to me like how they started with their small initiatives for while building the entire project. So that's how I was imagining my project, as to after creating one single block, being my project is quite huge if you go to see in comparison to the built up space. So the designing was mainly thought of as a uh, process or a phase wise design. So like one structure was built, and then a new addition of uh, ARD, or you can say a green solution, was incorporated. So that's how at the final stage I got all of them together, rather than adding the ARD at the end and just giving some specialized details. So that's how. Yes.
Interesting.
So hello, ma'am.
Yes, Priyanka.
So what my process was that I wrote the word cloud all together, and it had the material aspect, climate aspect, then what mood I wanted in my design. So I worked simultaneously ऑल ऑफ दोज, मतलब कि कभी बिल्डिंग, मतलब कि डिटेल्स डिसाइडेड कि कौन सा मटेरियल होना चाहिए, कभी मटेरियल्स डिसाइडेड कि स्पेस कैसा होना चाहिए. सो मेरा सब साइमल्टेनियसली है, एंड दिस इज हाउ माय थीसिस वेंट ऑन. कि इट वाज नॉट कि लास्ट मोमेंट पे व्हेन दे, मतलब कि आई अराइव्ड एट सम डिटेल्स, बट दे इवेंचुअली गाइडेड माय डिजाइन in that way.
Thank you. It would definitely add value to the learnings of the listeners. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Hello, hi. I would like to ask, like, this is a question which has been asked every time. So, is there something that you would have done in a different way or you want to do to your project? Like it's three of you. It's fun.
Nothing from my side. I like it very much.
Same for me.
Maybe I would have just experimented more with the form. Like now it is more of play of roofs. So maybe I may experiment it more with the form. That's it.
What about you, Tanisha?
It would be the same for me because we got a bonus 6 months to think more in with our project. So I guess I'm satisfied with what I've done for the final October. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so how were your experiences interacting with the communities that were related to your respective projects?
I would say I actually have been working with them since my internship. So I had like I worked with them for internship project, and then later on I actually liked the concept and whole process. So they 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 actually taught me a lot of things while in the process. The whole survey had led me to the design brief, how the spaces should be. So it was quite good.
Tanisha, what about you?
So while talking to the locals, initially it becomes very intimidating because they don't know you, you don't know them. So of course, starting a conversation becomes difficult, but once there is an interaction with them and you share your ideas as to what you are thinking and what type of project you're doing, you need to explain them that very thoroughly. So then they will give inputs that you would not think by yourself, and that would be like a eureka moment for you ki, haan, this is such a small thing which is in their day-to-day life, but you could use it in such a different way. So the main for me at least, my thesis changed its roots when I got to interact with the locals, and I had a complete idea as to what could be done and what shouldn't be done, or what could be the ideologies could be broken and added. So interactions were difficult at the start, but then that was the only way to get solutions for your thesis.
So in my case, Alibag is a very popular tourist spot, and we all think that कि हाँ सब ठीक है, tourists आते हैं तो it's benefit for the locals. But after interaction with locals, I came to know that कि tourists के जाने की वजह से भी बहुत problems होते हैं. I came to know about that aspect of tourism कि क्या क्या drawbacks हो सकते हैं. And for a center like this, interpretation center, tourist का involvement is very important for the center to run. So I, from their survey and from their reviews and their views, I just came up with a brief that how I could include their involvement more in the center. So it is very important to interact with the community first, and before coming to any brief or as such.
Okay, so yeah, Kar-
Yeah, hi. Hi, all. Three of you, it was really wonderful to see your thesis presentation and quite comprehensive. You've done a lot of work and you've really touched upon all the important issues which you need to have in a bachelor's level architecture thesis with that you need to have. So pretty much, if anybody looks at your videos recording that is done today, that is all, that is required in a design dissertation. And I'm glad that all three of you have shared your work with us and your juniors. here at PICA, and I'm sure they have a lot to learn. Like you literally all your 5 years of learning have culminated into your design dissertations in absolutely perfect manner. This as some of you said that you wouldn't change anything from it. So maybe yes, you did touch upon all the necessary aspects without missing on creating the urban level solutions, inclusive environments, filling it with necessary details related to materials, construction technologies. You ask for it all, whatever, and it's all there in your thesis. So really congratulate all three of you, and I'm glad that you shared your work here. Thank you. Thanks to all three of you. Okay. Yeah, and if there are any more questions, you can take Dolly.
Yes. I guess we should now end the session.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a long session, a very long one. I would like to thank Professor Kavita Pradhan, Professor Neha Kote, and all the faculty members, presenters, students to be there throughout the whole journey of PICA Thesis Forum. And with this, we hope for more design dissertations, more discussions in the next season. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much, Dolly. This season you took the full charge and you you worked with your team and student council. Thank you to council members who have supported this. Rao was there, Rajesh was there.
Yes, Purva was also there.
Yes, so thank you to all of you, those who have supported this. And this is how it should be. We started this in the last season. We started PICA Thesis Forum, and initially we supported all faculty members. We supported this and came together and discussed, but it eventually should become a students forum, and where we obviously the faculty members would be present to engage with the discussions and and identify the right issues and appreciate your work. So we should definitely be there, and so we will be there in the further seasons. But we look forward to the next batch students or from third year to take charge in further PICA Thesis Forum whenever at the appropriate times when you are ready to work at your senior look at your seniors work and learn from them. So there's really a lot. Many of your seniors, so many batches have graduated, and there's absolutely a lot of knowledge which you can take from your seniors, and many of them have also done their masters by now. So we would also be interested in how they have done their masters work. So we can take it forward in the next season. So I thank you all, the team who made it happen, and I thank my faculty colleagues as well, Neha, Kavita, Savant, Tejashri also. So they all were present in some of the episodes whenever possible, and they have actively taken part in the discussions. And then there are other faculty members also who have been present in these sessions. Thanks, it was wonderful, and look forward to the next season whenever we are ready. Yeah, Dolly, over to you.
Yes,
and
thank you.
Neha
Thank you,
also,
ma'am.
if she's around.
Yeah. Actually, I am facing a lot of internet problem, because of which I'm just logging in and
Okay,
logging
sure.
off.
No, not a problem.
But yeah, I enjoyed the last session, because today I think everyone was talking about a very sensitive topic of community, and how design is actually becomes a very dependent factor on this real life problem, communities, how really communities actually change every day, and how these things affect the design decisions what we make. So I think we enjoyed today's session. All the best to everyone, and yeah, thank you everyone for supporting this PICA season 2, PICA Thesis Forum season 2, and I think we will definitely look forward for the next session.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.